In this video, we are gonna solve another problem of Leetcode. I chose before another easy problem, and let's see what's the problem and what solutions do we have. Okay, the problem is about strings. We have two strings, needle and haystack, and we are gonna to find the first occurrences of needle in haystack. Okay, or -1, or there's you should return -1 if needle is not part of haystack, or you should return the index of first occurrence. Okay, and if you look at the examples, for example, this is the haystack and needle is sad, and the output is 0 because the first occurrence is in the 0 index. By the way, there are many needle in the string, but we are gonna search for the first occurrence. And for this string, it's -1 because there isn't this string inside the haystack. Okay. So, what's the solution? The easiest problem are it's likely that the easiest approach for this question is to use strpose function in PHP. Actually, strpose is exactly the solution of this problem. We can say that if there isn't any mention that's about the solution in this question, the description, so we can resort the option, but it would be quite ridiculous. Perhaps they meant implementing something similar to a strpose function. Anyway, the question does not provide any specific instructions, so we have to rely on our own algorithm. Okay. Let me show you first the solution, and then we will try to write its code. Okay. Examine that we have these two strings. This is the haystack and this is the needle. We have to move to the string length of both strings and compare every character of the string with the corresponding character of the another string, and we start from this, and we check that if they are equal, then we can compare the next character, and also and we continue on this approach. And if this string is not equal to this to the corresponding string, for example, if we have another character in this string and they are not equal, so we have to compare this string with the next this character with the next character of the haystack string, and if they are not equal, so we continue on this approach and compare these and with this, compare this with this string, and if there is a point in this part, if this character is not equal of this character, we shouldn't continue, because the rest of the characters are the length of the rest of the characters, that I mean the length of these two remaining characters is less than the length of the needle, that is 3. So we can say definitely they are not equal. So we will have two loops for going through the characters of the strings, and one of the loops are one of the loops should be less than the length of the length of needle, because it's a string that we are searching for the main string. And the first loop that we want to go through the haystack string, it should be less than the difference that's between length of a string minus length WTR. So we can say that for first hour loop, it should be less than less than and equal of the differences between length of two strings, and the second loop should be less than the length of needle. Okay, this is the first approach that we are gonna to implement it. And what should we do for implementing this approach? The first, we need to have the length of haystack. For make it simple, I use this variable. It's strlen haystack, and the length of a needle is strlen of needle. Okay, so our first loop is I equals 0 I equal from 0 until the difference between length of haystack and length of needle less and equal than these two variables I plus. And the second loop is a loop for the length of needle. Okay, and we compare two strings. The first is haystack I and needle J. Okay, but we should be care about it, because the first we compare these two. That's the this is the needle of J, and this is the haystack of I. Okay, let me to remove these parts. The first I is 0 and J is 0 also, and we compare needle J and the haystack I, and if they are equal, we go through the next character, that J is 1 but I is not increased. Okay, because we are inside the second loop. Actually this is the approach that we are gonna find this character we are gonna to compare this character with all of these characters, and we are inside the second loop, and we are just gonna increase the j. Okay, and for I, because I don't change in any time, we have to use from j to plus with I in the second in our condition, to be sure that we have access to other characters. Okay, so I mean in this part we have to summarize I and j to for our condition, because everything would be complete. Okay, and if they are not equal, we break off the loop. But before I define a variable, a flag, match is true, and if we couldn't find if they are not equal, and the second loop would be finished, so the match, if they are not equal, the match should be false, and break of the second loop and go to the next character of the first loop. Okay, and we should check if the second loop is finished and the match is still true, so we have to return I, because it's our answer, because they are equal, the second loop finished, and we couldn't find any characters that are not equal to the first string, that the first string that it's highest stack. And if it's finished and we still don't return any indexes, so we have to return -1. I think it's the solution, and it have to work. Time limit. Okay, there is a problem with this. Let's go to find it, and it's equals 0. I j is less than length of needle and if haystack I plus j is not equal needle j, match is false, and break if match return I and return -1. What's the wrong? I think everything is right. If you run another time, I equals 0, I v, what I v, wow, it was a writing errors, so it passed. And if I submit this solution, yeah, it works, and it's the first solution. And there are also another solution that's maybe it's easier. I can give you why I can tell you how you can implement that solution. And it's using we are gonna to use substr function in PHP, and the first define an index, and while our index is less than or equal LH minus LN, if substr hey stack and I and ln from I until the length of the needle, okay, if is equal to needle, so we have to return I. If not, so increase I and continue this loop. It's another solution that is easier than the first solution, and also it should pass -1. Yeah, it passed, and yeah. So as you can see, we have two solutions for this problem, and you can choose between one of them. Have a great evening, and bye until the next problem.